Hey guys, Coach Bricks,
Coach James.
Game Changers. I said I was going to do a video on when a person injures themselves, why, if you don't do things properly to get back, you hurt others. Now, we've seen a lot of people over the last couple months come to us and talk about, yeah, my knee hurts, my hip hurts, things like that, or my leg, parts of my leg are hurting. And when we dive deeper into it, we're finding out that actually where that problem is, and I've said this before, is really not, that pain is, I should say, is not where the problem is. But it's going deeper than that. I think a lot of people are missing this. And it's unfortunate in the medical field we're not hitting this area. And I know I have pushback on this from the medical field, even the strength coaches, the athletic trainers, and things like that. But we're not looking at the body and how it should react and how it should feel. So, prime example, the number one thing that most people hurt is their ankles. I did a poll on this. All the results that I found, all the surveys, all the stuff like that, that's the number one thing, okay? Here's the problem though. Most people that we find that have injuries someplace else, they've had an ankle injury before. Now most people are like, well, that's a common injury. The ankle's normal, so they hurt it more. I agree with you. But why are they hurting it? Why is it such a high rate? I talk about this because of the sneakers, and I can go on a whole tangent about this, okay? Which we don't want to ever discuss because we rather look good than feel good in this society. But we're not rehabbing it properly. We're not getting it back. And everybody says, well, Dave, I rehabbed it, I took time off for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it felt great. I could run, they cleared me, all this kind of stuff. That doesn't mean you're back. It just means you have no pain, that you can do certain things. Your body adapts. And I talk about this all the time. Survival is the only thing the body knows, and off of survival, adapt and heals. Those are two key components that you have to understand. So my body can adapt to a different way of moving and get by for what I need to do. It will do that. Whether it compromises and sacrifices somewhere else in the body, and that's what we're seeing. So a lot of the athletes come in, oh yeah, my back hurts, Dave, my hip, my knee. We go check their ankles once we find out that they did sprain their ankles. They're like, yeah, I sprained it. They don't have the mobility anymore, or it's weaker. It's because they never rehabbed it back to where it should have been. And here's what I say. When you rehab something, you can't get it back to where it was, because if you got it back to where it was, it's still vulnerable to being hurt. You've got to make it better than what it was. But we don't do that. We just get back to where we can play, we done, we don't do anything. And we've seen it. One of the athletes that you deal with a lot, you know, we worked on his ankles, fixed those bad boys up. He stopped doing the exercises, and all of a sudden his ankles started to hurt again. And other parts of his body started to hurt. He got back on the ankle exercise, and what happened?
Hasn't had any problems since that. Does like a week and a half, 2 weeks on the exercises again.
Yeah, that's how the human body, it adapts. It adapts to what you're giving it. So the reason you're having problems in other areas is a lot of times it's dealt from one injury before. Why do I know that? It's because it's an adhesion that happens. And I talk about this with fascia. I understand a lot of people don't understand fascia. It's been around since you were born, okay? We've all had fascia, but the doctors didn't want to admit that it does what it does, okay? So a lot of people in the science community doesn't want to, and they still don't want to admit it, okay? But fascia connects everything. When there's an adhesion that happens in the body, such as an injury, the fascia has to react. When the fascia reacts, it gets adhesion. Well, if I can't send signals properly to a certain area, my body adapts to whatever the signal's being shot. So if you can't go straight up because there's an adhesion here, because there's an injury, it sorts itself around it. And then it fires in other areas of the body, and it overworks those areas, and then guess what? Then you start to have overuse injuries. And then all of a sudden you're complaining to me, oh, my inner thigh hurts, or my quad hurts, or my hamstring hurts, or my low back hurts. A lot of times it goes back to whatever injury you have. If you don't rehab it properly, and I tell people, once you get hurt, you've got to continue to do it. Just like myself, okay? Hurt my back years ago. I still do the same exercise every day, and I've had any issues. Actually, I'm stronger now than I was before because of the new stuff I found out and fixed. But that's what we have to do, and that's what we're not doing. So why you have injuries in other areas? The majority of times it's coming because you hurt something earlier in your career. Now, it might have been when you were 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. If you did not rehab and you continue on that path, you will adapt to a different pattern, and that different pattern throws you off. We were designed to move a certain way, okay? Every single one of us, we're designed to move a certain way. When you break something, or you tear something, or you sprain something, you hurt it, it throws an adaptation, has to come into play, automatically. Automatically it has to come into play. You have to adapt around that to get back. Now you get it back to 100% or better, okay? To continue to push that 100% mark to where the new 100% should be. Then Okay, the adaptation process goes back to normal. You get it back to where you feel good, but it's never back to 100, then you're out here, you're left out here, and something else picks it up. And that's what you need to understand. You cannot stop doing it. I tell people all the time, what's one of my biggest things?
Talking about brushing your teeth every single day.
I ask the kids all the time, do you brush your teeth? They're like, yeah. Then you can do these exercises. These are part of a routine. If you're gonna take care of your teeth, why aren't you taking care of the body? This goes for adults too, because I got adults that contact me about this stuff. And they complain to me about back pain and hip pain and all this kind of stuff. Well, I'm like, yeah, because of what happened. Can't be that. I fixed that. No, you didn't fix it. You don't have the pain anymore, but it doesn't mean it's fixed, right? So dive deeper into what is going on. I'm more than happy to help people and look at it and figure these things out. That's what I love to do. Absolutely love to do. To get people back so they're out of this pain. Because I hate to see people in pain because I know what it's like. I've been there. And now I honestly think I'm put on this earth to figure these things out. Am I always right? No. Okay, I'm not God, so I'm not gonna always be right. But I will help you along that journey to figure those things out. What do you see one of the biggest things that you have to deal with when these athletes come in?
I think the biggest thing is the constant reminder of telling these athletes. You'll give them those 3-4 exercises. Once we figure out what's wrong with them, we'll go through it, we'll show them what they need to do, and you'll check back in with them like a week, 2 later, and they're like, man, I feel great. And then I had one athlete, he came to me like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, different athlete, and he was like, hey, my back's been bothering me again when I do these exercises at practice, like when we do our squats and stuff like that. I'm like, well, have you been doing the exercises I gave you like a month ago? Well, no, it was feeling better. I'm like, his buddy was in, I told him the exact same thing. He was having a lot of similar problems. I'm like, I looked at his buddy that was in with him and I said, are you still doing the same exercises I gave you? Or are you still doing them like before practice? I see him when he comes in here, he does them every single time he comes in here. He's like, I don't maybe do them right before like our lift or whatever, but as soon as I get home, I do those exact same stretches and exercises. I do them every single day. I'm like, have you had any problems? He's like, no. I'm like, but you still do them. He goes, yeah. I looked at his friend and I'm like, there's your example right there. Your best friend still does his exercises, even though he's not had any problems for two months now. And I'm like, that should give you right there all the evidence you need. I should still be doing my exercises. Just because I'm feeling better doesn't mean it's fixed. Like Coach Brick says, it might be on that way to getting fixed, but it doesn't mean that you need to stop those exercises. Just like it said, you gotta do them every day as part of a routine.
Yeah, and I understand it sometimes stinks. You don't want to do them, but guess what? Get over it. You want to feel better. You don't want to have injuries. You don't want to have problems. You want to have other things start to have to compensate. Then do them. Just take the time and get it done. There's no reason we live in as much pain as we have. As so far, we have all this science and technology and all this stuff going on out there, but yet more people are broken than ever before. We didn't have these issues like this craziness, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. There's a lot of things that go into it, but one of these things is we're not taking care of our bodies. And this is adults too, so this isn't just a kid thing. It's an adult thing too. We get a lot of adults that complain about back pain all the time. We can solve a lot of that stuff. You don't need surgery. You need to start taking care of what you have. And once you have an injury, like I said, the body has to adapt. You can get it to go back if you're willing to put the time into it. If not, it's going to adapt and go off another course. And with that other course, that's what leads to other problems. Sometimes we have people that come in, hurt their right ankle, and their left knee starts to hurt. I don't know why. I didn't do nothing. It was my right ankle. I compensate. I'm putting too much weight on that left side. So then we get the right ankle back, right? Magically, the left knee fixes. And I touch the left knee. Magically, you do that. Not saying with everybody, but it happens with a lot of people that we deal with. So that's what I talk about when it comes to injuries. People wanted to know, this is the thing, you have to continue on it, but you have to understand why the body does what it does. It's not science-based. Everybody wants everything, or where's your study? Not a science study. It's based on what God put us here for, how he designed us, okay, first of all, and then think about common sense-wise, because we forget about common sense in everything we do anymore, but common sense-wise, how would the body react? If it's all about survival and adapting, okay, and healing, it's going to heal and adapt the way you treat it. If I heal and adapt it because I'm taking care of it the correct way, it's going to heal and adapt the way it's supposed to. If I don't, only do it for a short period of time, well, it's going to adapt to that part. You have to understand the human body, okay? Most people don't. I don't care if you're a scientist and stuff like that. If you're not understanding the depth of how humans were made, then we're missing the point. Okay? Let me know your comments. Let me know if you agree, don't disagree. Great. Don't disagree. If you disagree with me, fine. Let me know why though. All right? It's Coach Bricks.
Coach James.
Game changers.